Right now, at this exact moment, there are 8.2 billion people alive on this earth. 8.2 billion. And among all of them, among every single human being drawing breath on this planet in this moment, there is something that only you have, not something similar, not a version of it that exists in others. The specific, precise, unrepeatable combination of what God placed inside you and what your journey has formed in you and what your assignment requires of you exists in exactly one person on this earth. And that person is you. I need you to watch this alone, because what God is about to reveal to you about your own singularity is something that requires the full attention of a person who is ready to finally receive the truth of how specifically and how deliberately they were made. Stay right here. I am speaking to you right now. The chosen one who has spent a significant portion of their life feeling simultaneously too much and not enough, too intense for spaces that wanted less depth, not impressive enough for spaces that valued the wrong things, too sensitive for people who had learned to be numb, not strategic enough for people who had learned to perform. You have moved through the world with the quiet sense that you did not quite fit the available categories, that the box other people found comfortable was always slightly the wrong shape for what you actually were. And rather than concluding that the boxes were wrong, you most often concluded that something was wrong with you, that you needed to adjust, to modify, to sand down the edges of who you were until you fit somewhere that would accept you. I want to tell you today that the boxes were always wrong, not because boxes are inherently bad, but because what God assembled in you was not designed to fit any existing category. It was designed to be its own category, to be so specifically and so deliberately and so carefully constructed that the only accurate container for it is the particular life that you are living. There is no template for what you are, no previous version that you can be compared to that captures the full picture. No other person in the 8.2 billion currently alive on this earth who carries the exact combination of gifts, history, wounds, wisdom, calling, love, and divine assignment that you carry. You are the only one, and God made you that way on purpose. Type Amen if you have ever felt that you did not fit the available categories and wondered if something was wrong with you for not fitting. Let me talk about what it means that out of 8.2 billion people, only you have this. Because the number is important not just as a rhetorical device, but as a genuine frame for understanding the specificity of what God did when He made you. 8.2 billion is a number that exceeds the human capacity to fully imagine. If you were to meet one person every second without stopping, you would need more than 250 years to meet everyone alive right now. The scale of that number makes the concept of being specifically selected from within it almost incomprehensible, and yet that is exactly what happened. Before any of those 8.2 billion people existed, before the world they inhabit was assembled, before the specific moment in history that you were born into was determined, God looked at the full scope of His creation, and He said, this specific combination, this precise assembly of what I am going to place inside one particular person at one particular moment in history for one particular and unrepeatable purpose, this is the one I am making. And what He made was you. Not an approximation, not a draft, not a version that would do in the absence of something better. The fully intentional, specifically designed, carefully assembled original that He had in mind from the beginning. And everything about you, including the things you have been most tempted to apologize for, is exactly what was intended. The depth was intended, the sensitivity was intended, the specific way your mind works was intended, the particular quality of love that flows from you was intended, the exact combination of your gifts was intended, the way your history has shaped your understanding was intended. All of it was part of the design, and none of it exists in exactly this form in any other person among the 8.2 billion. Type 1 of 1 if you receive the truth that God made you as an original and that the specific combination of who you are exists in no one else on this earth. Now let me tell you specifically what only you have. What the thing is that God placed in you that does not exist in duplicate anywhere else among the billions of people currently alive. I want to name it across several dimensions, because it is not a single thing, it is a constellation of things that together create something that is entirely singular. The first thing only you have is your specific combination of gifts, not just the individual gifts. Many people share individual gifts. The ability to teach, to lead, to create, to heal, to serve, to build, to perceive, to express. These gifts appear across the 8.2 billion in various combinations and at various levels of development. But your specific combination, the particular way your gifts intersect and amplify each other, the unique expression that emerges when they operate together, that is not duplicated anywhere. There is no other person who teaches the way you teach when you combine your particular form of teaching with your particular form of empathy and your particular form of discernment and your particular way of seeing what others miss. The product of the specific combination is yours alone. Type my combination if you receive the truth that it is not just your individual gifts, but the specific combination of them that is uniquely yours. The second thing only you have is your specific history, the exact sequence of experiences that formed you, the specific people who were placed in your life at specific moments to shape you in specific ways, the particular losses and the particular victories and the particular lessons that your journey has accumulated. No one else has been through exactly what you have been through, in exactly the order that you have been through it, with exactly the people you went through it with, producing exactly the understanding that it produced in you. Your history is a one-of-a-kind formation process that has produced a one-of-a-kind person. The wisdom you carry is not generic wisdom, it is the specific distillation of your specific journey, and it applies to people in ways that the wisdom of someone with a different history cannot apply because it comes from a place of lived experience that is entirely singular. Type my history made me. If you receive the truth that your specific journey has formed in you a specific kind of wisdom and understanding that no one else on earth possesses in quite the same way. The third thing only you have is your specific assignment, the particular territory in the kingdom of God that was designated as yours before the world was made, the specific people whose lives are most directly attached to your presence and your purpose, the specific contribution to what God is doing in this generation that only you can make because only you are you. This assignment did not get distributed to anyone else as a backup in case you were not available. It was written for you specifically, and it waits for you specifically, and it cannot be fully accomplished by any substitute because the assignment was designed around the specific person that only you are. There are people in this world right now who are waiting for you, not for someone like you, for the specific version of what you carry that only you possess, for the teaching that comes from your specific combination of gifts and history, for the love that flows from the particular depth of your heart, for the presence that carries what your specific formation has produced. These people are in spaces that are not yet fully illuminated because the light that was designed for those spaces has not yet arrived at full expression, and the light was designed around you, around the specific person that only you are among the 8.2 billion. Take a moment and like this video because the person who needs to understand the singularity of what they carry needs to find this message through your support. Type my assignment waits if you receive the truth that there is a specific territory and specific people that are assigned to you specifically and that cannot be fully reached by any substitute. I want to address something that is going to be the most difficult part of this message for some of you to receive, and it is the comparison, because living in a world of 8.2 billion people who are all visible to you through the endless scroll of social media and digital connection means that the comparison is constant and immediate and devastating if you let it operate unchallenged. You see other people who seem to have what you have but more of it, who seem to be doing what you feel called to do but doing it with more polish and more visibility and more apparent success, who seem to be living the version of the life you sense was intended for you, but who are living it more fully or more effectively or more publicly than you currently are. And the comparison whispers the same lie every time, that what they have is better than what you have, that the assignment they are living is more significant than the one that is waiting for you, that the combination of their gifts and their story is more compelling than yours, that somehow the design God chose for them was more inspired than the design He chose for you. And if you listen to that whisper long enough, it produces a specific kind of spiritual paralysis, where you are so focused on what they have that you lose sight of what only you have. And what only you have is exactly what your assignment requires, exactly what the people assigned to your territory need, exactly what God intended when He assembled you specifically out of the billions. The comparison is always between your raw material and someone else's finished product, between where you are in your process and where they are in theirs, between the interior of your journey that you can see fully and the exterior of theirs that you can see only partially. It is never a fair comparison, because you are never comparing like with like. You are comparing your knowledge of your own incompleteness with your projection of their apparent completeness. And that comparison has no integrity, because it is not based on accurate information on either side. Type-wise, stop comparing if you are choosing right now to release the comparison and to receive the full significance of what only you have as the complete and sufficient and specifically designed gift that it is. Let me speak to the singularity of your pain, because the thing that only you have is not just the gifts and the calling and the assignment. It also includes the specific wounds, the particular places in you that have been broken, and that in the breaking were open to a depth of understanding and compassion and connection that cannot be accessed any other way. The specific losses that formed a specific capacity for empathy, the specific betrayals that produced a specific quality of discernment, the specific seasons of darkness that created in you a specific ability to sit with others in their darkness without trying to rush them out of it, because you know from the inside how long darkness can last and what it needs to be survivable. These wounds are part of what only you have, not because God designed the wounding, but because God has worked with the wounding to create in you something that belongs to your specific constellation of singular gifts. The scars are part of the signature. They contribute to the fingerprint of what only you carry, and the people who most need what you carry are not going to need the unwounded version. They are going to need exactly the version that has been through what you have been through and come out carrying the specific understanding that only that journey produces. Stay with me in part 2, because God is going to take this even deeper. He is going to tell you what to do with the knowledge that you are singular, how to stop operating as though you are interchangeable with the 8.2 billion and start operating as the specific and unrepeatable original that you actually are. And He is going to tell you what becomes possible in your life and in the world when you fully receive the truth that among all of them there is only one you, and that one is exactly what was needed. Welcome back, chosen one. If you are in part 2, the truth God spoke in part 1 has been doing something in you that goes beyond intellectual reception. The recognition that out of 8.2 billion, you are the only one with this specific constellation of gifts and history and wounds and calling is not a small truth. It is one of the most significant things you can know about yourself. Because everything about how you move through the world, every decision about what to offer and what to withhold, every calculation about whether what you have is worth giving and whether you are qualified to give it, changes when you truly receive the reality of your own singularity. In part 2, God is going to tell you how to live from that singularity, how to stop operating as a copy of what you have seen and start operating as the original that you are, and what happens to the world around you when the only one who has what you have stops hiding it and starts releasing it fully. Type singular if you are fully receiving the reality of your own irreplaceable uniqueness as you enter part 2. Let me start with what it means to live from your singularity rather than from the comparison, because there is a mode of operating that most chosen ones default to that is built on the wrong foundation. It is the mode of trying to do what the visible successful people in their space are doing, of studying the formats and the formulas and the approaches of people who have achieved what they want to achieve and attempting to replicate those approaches in their own life, of building their offering around what seems to work for others rather than around what is most authentic to who they specifically are. This approach is understandable. It feels safer than offering something original because the original has no track record. You cannot point to evidence that it works because no one has done it before. You cannot reassure yourself with the success of someone else as proof that the approach is sound, because no one else has your approach. You are working with unreplicated material, and the absence of precedent can feel like the absence of validation, which can feel like the absence of safety. But here is what God wants you to understand about originals. The people who changed the world, who made the specific and lasting contributions that mattered most to the specific people they were designed to serve, were not the ones who perfected the replication of someone else's approach. They were the ones who had the courage to offer what was specifically theirs with enough consistency and enough conviction that the people who needed it specifically found it and were changed by it. The original is always more powerful than the copy, not because originality is inherently superior, but because the original is the thing that was actually designed for the people who need it. The copy is a dilution of something that was already designed for someone else. You were not designed for someone else's people. You were designed for yours, and your people are looking for the original, not the copy. Type, I offer the original if you are choosing right now to stop trying to be a version of someone else and to start operating fully from what is specifically and only yours. Let me talk about the practical expression of your singularity. What does it actually look like to operate from the specific combination that only you have, rather than from the generic version that tries to appeal to everyone and therefore reaches no one at the depth that matters? The first expression is specificity in your voice. The chosen one who is operating from their singularity does not speak in generalities. They speak from the specific place of their specific experience and their specific formation and their specific understanding. They say things like, here is what I know from having been through the specific thing I have been through, rather than here is what people generally experience. They bring their actual story, the real and particular and personal version of it, into what they offer. Not because the personal details are the point, but because the personal details are what creates the resonance that generic information cannot create. People do not connect most deeply with what is broadly true for everyone. They connect most deeply with what is specifically true, in a way that accidentally and precisely describes their own experience. And the more specifically you speak from your singular place, the more the people who were assigned to your voice feel directly and personally addressed by it. Type, I speak specifically, if you are committing to speaking from the specific place of your specific experience and formation, rather than from the safe distance of generality. The second expression is specificity in your serving. The singular chosen one serves the people they were actually designed to serve, rather than trying to serve everyone equally. There are specific people in the world for whom what you carry is the exact thing they need, whose experience mirrors your experience in ways that create an immediate recognition, whose struggle is the struggle that your specific history has equipped you to address, whose questions are the questions that your specific wisdom was formed to answer. These people are your people, and when you serve them from the full specificity of what you carry, the impact is extraordinary because the fit between what they need and what you offer is exact. It is not approximate. It is not close enough. It is the specific thing for the specific person designed by the God who assembled both the need and the provision with the same intentionality. Type, I serve my people, if you are choosing to serve the specific people your specific gifts and history equipped you to serve, rather than trying to reach everyone with a diluted version of what you carry. The third expression is specificity in your trust, trusting that the specific thing God placed in you is sufficient for the specific assignment He gave you. Not adequate, not serviceable, sufficient, fully, completely, exactly enough for what the assignment requires. Because He who designed the assignment also assembled the person who would carry it, and the assembly was not done carelessly. The specific combination of your gifts and your history and your wounds and your calling was assembled with the specific assignment in view. Every piece of you was chosen with an eye toward what your purpose would require, and the resulting package, the exact and unrepeatable you, is precisely adequate to the task, not in spite of what seems incomplete or unpolished or insufficient, including it, because what seems insufficient to you is often the exact thing that makes the connection to the people you are designed to reach. The wound is as much a part of the gift as the strength. The question is as much a part of the wisdom as the answer. All of it serves. All of it was designed to serve. Type sufficient if you receive the truth that the specific combination God assembled in you is exactly and fully sufficient for the specific assignment He has given you. Now I want to speak about the weight of being singular, because it is not only glorious, it is also lonely in specific ways. The person who is one of one among 8.2 billion carries a specific kind of aloneness that comes from being the only one who fully understands what it is like to be them. There is no one to compare notes with in the deepest sense, no one who has walked exactly this path or carries exactly this combination or faces exactly these challenges in exactly this way. There is community. There is genuine connection with others who carry similar things, but there is also the irreducible aloneness of the singular. The part of your experience that cannot be fully translated into someone else's understanding no matter how deeply they care or how hard they try. God sees this aloneness. He designed around it. He is not unaware that what He assembled in you also comes with the particular isolation of the unrepeatable, and He has made specific provision for it. The provision is His own presence in the places where no human company can fully reach. The assurance that in the deepest and most interior places of what makes you specifically you, He is there. He knows it from the inside. He is not observing your singularity from a distance. He is present within it. The one who made you the only one is the one who accompanies the only one in the places where the only one must go alone. Type He is there in the alone. If you receive the truth that God specifically accompanies you in the places of your singularity that no human presence can fully reach, let me close with what becomes possible when the only one who has what you have fully releases it. When the singular chosen one stops hiding the specific thing that only they carry and starts offering it with full confidence in its design and full trust in the God who designed it. What becomes possible is this: the people who have been waiting for exactly what you have finally receive it. The territory that was designated as yours finally has its rightful occupant. The darkness that was operating in the specific spaces your light was designed for finally encounters the light it could not keep out. The lives that were assigned to your specific combination of gifts and history and love finally receive the impact that was always intended for them. And beyond the direct impact on the lives most immediately assigned to your light, something else happens, something that ripples outward in ways that cannot be fully predicted or tracked, because every chosen one who fully steps into the specific and unrepeatable thing that only they carry creates a permission in the spirit for other singular people to do the same. Your full expression is not just for your people. It is a statement to every chosen one who is still hiding their singular thing, still trying to make it fit a safer category, still waiting for permission to be fully what they are, that the original is not just acceptable, it is what was needed all along. Type 1 release what only I have if you are choosing right now to stop holding back the specific and irreplaceable thing that God assembled in you, and to start releasing it fully into the world that has been waiting for exactly what only you have to give. Out of 8.2 billion people, God made only one of you, not because the rest are less significant, but because what He placed inside you required a specific and singular container, because the assignment He wrote for you required a specific and singular carrier, because the people He designed for your light required a specific and singular source, and you are that container. That carrier, that source, the only one on earth who is. Walk in that today. Not with arrogance, not with the pride that forgets it was God who assembled the singular thing, but with the settled, grateful, mission-driven confidence of someone who finally understands why they were always slightly outside the available categories. Because you were not made to fit a category, you were made to create one, specifically, intentionally, out of 8.2 billion. Only you. Type I am the only one if you receive every word God has spoken through this message, and you are choosing to walk fully in the singular, irreplaceable, specifically designed purpose that only you were made to carry. God chose you specifically. Out of everyone. He looked across all of them, and He chose you for this combination, for this assignment, for this moment, for these people. Let that be the foundation of everything you do from this day forward. You are not one of many trying to stand out. You are the only one, and the world has been waiting for you to finally believe it.